I'm Eric Nasa with Newsshooter.com, and, well, me and the boys here. I'm with Jeff Lee from AbelCine, and I have Ted Sims, from Aperture.
Yep.
And we are at Cine Gear. Did I mention that we were even at Cine Gear?
We are at, this is Paramount right behind us.
So it's been a pretty warm 2 days. It's been fun though, right? I mean, I think the crowds have been pretty amazing. Friday was nuts. What do you think about Friday?
Yeah, I don't know what the final attendance numbers were, obviously, but man, it was busy from the get-go. Like, even before the gates officially opened, we were packed.
Yeah.
It felt like.
How was the booth at Aperture?
I think 7 years of going to Cine Gear, this is the biggest Cine Gear we've seen by far, without a doubt. And there's been a lot of talk, especially among the manufacturers, that people are going to go smaller in NAB and much larger at Cine Gear. I think we're seeing a lot of manufacturers dropping out of NAB, which is interesting. Yeah,
and it kind of makes sense. And we talked about this in the past, last year, that look, this show is really kind of about what we do.
Yes.
You know, this is not a place for broadcast.
You're not going to see weather dongles here. You're not going to see huge satellite companies next to your filmmaking companies. It's focused.
Too, though, you're not seeing a lot of folks in suits and business attire.
Yes.
It's the end users. It's the folks behind the camera. Yeah. It's not the folks that have to go back to their purchasing agents and their bosses or whatever. It's the folks that are directly making those decisions and effectively using this equipment. So
it's also a lot of owner-operators, you know? I think the biggest boom is just owner-operators, people that own their own gear, that shoot their own stuff, that know and research it by themselves. They're not buying for giant rental houses. Those people are here too, but a lot of end users are here, which we love.
Yeah. No, it's a good vibe. Everybody seems pretty chill and just like taking it all in. And there's good quality vendors here. I mean, you can really make purchasing decisions if you're a cinematographer, a DP, or a grip. It's all here. It's really, really good. It's like it's the biggest showroom you're going to get in Hollywood in a way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about cameras today. You know, not a lot of big announcements, maybe some small stuff. I do think that what Sony did with the Venice extension is pretty impressive. Being able to take an existing, maybe not an existing, but a Venice camera brain and taking the optical block out and putting it onto a camera the size of what like the Blackmagic cinema camera used to look like.
With the optical NDs, I think that's a big thing that people overlook because the sensor block comes with the ND filters. So now in a VR rig or a 360 rig, or if you're in a helicopter, in a shot over, you now have ND control.
It's not the kind of thing I would buy myself, just because in terms of price range, especially because you have to buy 2 different models if you wanted a Sony Venice, because you can't use one with the optical extender and you can't have a regular camera. It's not like they go back and forth, so you would have to buy 2 versions of the camera. But
I don't mean to interrupt, but you can actually, because it is the same camera.
Yeah. Are they saying that you can actually?
So what it is you take the same existing camera, you take the sensor off with the 6 screws, you put it onto this new extension prototype thing they're showing. And now you've basically put the sensor on this forward piece, and the cable goes back to the camera.
Well, that's news to me then. In that case, this is something that interests me.
I thought it wasn't able to do that. I thought that this was a standalone camera and that you couldn't really, convert it back to a regular Venice.
Yeah, so big splash, big news was that you could actually move the sensor around, and they've teased in the past that maybe they'll have new sensors. But I think this leads into that ecosystem of taking the sensor off, putting it on this unit instead, and then when you're done shooting the helicopter stuff or whatever. Then you put it back on the camera, and it's a Super 35 or a full frame 6K camera again.
That to me is interesting for actual use for working DPs that own and operate their gear. Before, I think I was just thinking of it as I was talking to Shane Hurlbut the other day, and he was talking about how he destroys 15 cameras on every movie he works on, and how he'll rig the camera onto a car and flip the car. And for me, I was just thinking, oh, this is a far more affordable way to be able to destroy the sensor and then have the same brains of the camera locked into a pelly somewhere. But no, I didn't know that it was actually cross-compatible in that way. That's important.
Yeah, it's really great. Now, also a big benefit of having this separation with the optical block is think about 3D. You can have an entire 3D rig that weighs probably 30 pounds with a beam splitter. That's impressive, and the mobility for live action. If you're shooting actors and you want to put it on a rig to get moving shots in 3D, I mean that really does change the way they're going to be able to work with heavier, less big bulky stuff, right? So that's an interesting, and also the tight spaces and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's an interesting idea, a really great concept. The other thing about cameras, and we were talking about this a little earlier, is you ever notice that when a camera comes out, it might get hammered a lot because everybody wants the kitchen sink, right? They want it all, and then all of a sudden, maybe a year later. And I'm kind of referencing the C200 here, because we all kind of, I got down on it last year. We could probably roll tape from last year, and I was like, nah, the codec's kind of lame. It's not 10-bit, and it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. Well, all my friends are buying C200s and they're loving that camera. Does that surprise you that you were seeing these late blooming type effect on these new cinema cameras? Do we expect too much from these cinema cameras?
Yeah, I don't know if it surprises me. I think it's more that maybe we're looking too deep into the specs necessarily and not about what the image looks like. You know, maybe that's a big part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe folks, yeah, like you said, last year we were all a little bit like, well, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. But then people got their hands on the camera and said, actually, but the footage looks amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What it does really well.
Yeah, I think as a manufacturer too, we're entering an age now where you almost have to release something and people can critique the hell out of it before it comes out right. You know, you got to take that first step out and say, look, we took an act of courage here. We're trying to make something new, and then everyone tears into it, and then the second rendition is always that much better because people know what they want, and you know, engineers work in the lab and they do their best, but they're never going to understand it the way that real DPs have their hands on it, that want the ergonomics to work this way, are going to figure out.
Right, and you as a manufacturer, and, you know, product developer, I mean, this is an everyday thing for you. You have to deal with, do people want this, and can I make it in a way that they can afford it?
Yeah.
And, you know, but also, can it do what they want?
It's also, look, we get feedback so quickly now, you know? You release something, and immediately everyone tells you what they think about it. And it's actually a pretty exciting time to be making things. Again, I have no idea what camera manufacturing is like, but I can only imagine if it's anything close, it's probably louder and more rigorous, with more vicious comments than ever. You know, you get hurt by it, but at the same time makes you better, you know? And I can only imagine that that's how cameras like the C200 came to be. You hear the feedback, it's louder than ever, it comes quicker, and there's more of it than ever too.
I think you touched upon it, and you grow from it. That's the best
You grow
thing.
from it,
and you have to.
It's a ebb and flow with the people that use it and the people that make it. It goes back and forth.
Yeah. So to get these cameras working, we need batteries.
Yes.
Every camera needs batteries. More so now, lighting needs batteries, right? I
absolutely.
mean, nobody wants to plug anything into a wall anymore. Nobody wants to get, you know, the Honda generator out. So we're seeing a lot of new batteries coming out on the market. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, you know. I guess cars are getting, you know, working with batteries. So why not everything else, right? So have you guys seen any like new technology coming out in batteries that maybe got you a little excited?
Not huge ones for me, but I will say that I am anxiously and eagerly waiting higher voltage from batteries, because I can say that the entire, at least from a lighting industry, we are waiting on higher capacity batteries. We're waiting on higher output and higher payloads, just because it's what is holding us back for at least us to be able to go bigger with our lights. We're kind of limited right now with the amount of voltage that our batteries can currently give.
Right, and then we have the power-hungry Alexa LF. That one needs 24 volts, and that's a challenge. So now, are you familiar with what Wooden Camera was doing for
I hadn't
the
seen
LF?
it. I mean, I think the idea, though, that you were mentioning was the ability to basically combine two existing batteries onto a smart plate that can then gang the voltage together in a, again, safe and intelligent way to get us to that 24-volt hurdle.
Yeah.
Multi-amp, you know, it's over 15 amp draw that it requires, I think, just to turn on.
Yeah.
So that huge power spike at boot is something that, you know, that hopefully will solve. You know, at NAB they announced, of course, the BBOB battery solution, which is, you know, basically a proprietary battery that will work with existing systems, but does have extra contacts to get it over that 24-volt hurdle.
Yeah. It feels like a workaround to me. I just want it built into the damn battery. Please, please, we've got an industry waiting on it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, well, lighting is interesting. I mean, you guys are working and developing on your own RGB lighted aperture.
We are. I'm not going to mention much about that. Also, it's me talking about that. I'll save that for other people to talk about.
But one thing I find interesting is tube lighting is everywhere.
Yes.
I mean, there's only a few companies doing it early on. It's everywhere. What are you guys seeing that excites you in the tube lighting world? And have we kind of reached the top here, or are we just sort of kind of, you know, getting to that point where we're all trying to figure out how to use them the best way?
I mean, I won't speak for you guys, but for me, I think it changes the way we think about lights, right? Lighting was always a fixture that was a traditional shape, whether it be a Fresnel or a panel light or, you know, ellipsoidal or whatever. Now we have options, especially with, like you were saying, tube-based lighting, you know, practical or specials or just in different locations, or just kind of rejuvenates how we think about where we position lights and how we use it. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah. What do you think, Dave?
What excites me about tube lighting too is that we're seeing lights that we can put in frame and out of frame, right? And the fact that we're seeing so many music videos using quasar lights or Sputniks and things like that is really exciting for me. But this two-blading world is exciting for me just because it's kind of like the world that I'm that close to, but I'm not a part of. So I get
You
to
want to be
like,
a part of it?
I can't say anything about that. But what I will say is that as a spectator on the side, watching from the sidelines, I feel like I have like front row tickets to this war of there's Sputnik and Quasar, and now I'm seeing Astera, who's come in and they're doing animatable lighting effects, pixel-based lighting, and this is super, super exciting to me because I thought that we had reached the peak already. I thought we had already reached it, and we had the effects, we've already got RGB, we've got waterproof ones, and now I'm seeing you can actually write names in your lights, and you can have dots animate through the lights, and
yeah, DMX controlling these things is really cool, really cool,
exciting.
Really makes something fun.
I'm curious to see who it shakes out with. I'm curious to see who sort of takes it. I didn't think that there was space for a new competitor, but here Astera is.
Yeah. No, I think maybe there is enough room in the space for multi-vendors to participate. Maybe there doesn't need to be one,
Yeah.
They all kind of have their way of
Different
applying
effects.
their technology and, how they're going to interact with DMX, or is it more of a, a background effect kind of thing,
Yes,
or even
absolutely.
lighting talent, as opposed to being in that kind of a practical, more of an effect type light. All right, guys. Well, I had a great time here at Cine Gear. This is a great show. Yeah. I think it's growing like crazy. See, we got guys loving it over there. That's right. But it's a lot of fun. And like all these kind of trade shows, we all get to see each other, which is always great for us.
That's the best part of the shows, honestly.
Yeah.
The best part of the shows, because you can find out about the gear and stuff online. But when you come and you get to meet and hang out with the same faces that you see or that you've been talking to online, that's the reason. That's the thing that I look forward to the most, frankly.
Yeah, it is nice. Yeah. It is nice. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap from Cine Gear 2018. Thanks for watching. Make sure if you're looking for any cool products in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles, go to AbelCine. Check out their website. They'll have a lot of great stuff. You guys do great courses, a lot of training. So definitely, they can take care of you on all those fronts. Oh, absolutely. And then Aperture, of course. Need some good lighting. Go check them out. They have pretty much everything for the independent filmmaker and more, right?
Yeah, we're just nerding out over here. If you want to hang out, give us some feedback too. If you like the gear, you want something new, we're always reading the comments. I think we're one of the only companies that tells people that we read comments. But drop us some feedback below.
Okay, and go to newsshooter.com for all the news that's coming out from all the trade shows and all the new products that we all love to play with. All right, well, that's it. I'm Eric Naso for Ted Sim, and as well as Jeff Lee. That's a wrap.